Sting is going to AEW. Maybe I'm about to present to you a case, as you shall see. But that is exciting news, even if we are just going to start speculating, because he is one of the few legends that, as of now, isn't tied to WWE, because that's the news that came out recently. He had some kind of deal, that deal expired, and they have gone their separate ways. This is me going in different paths. Why does this mean he's going to go to All Elite Wrestling, though? Well, here's why. Now please do realise this isn't just me throwing things out there for fun, because if you put on your detective clothes, you can start finding some evidence that this is indeed a possibility. A small possibility, but a possibility nonetheless. And I have some evidence. We will start with Cody's own Twitter feed, because the madness truly began when it turned out that a Sting WWE action figure had been cancelled, and the reason for that was everything I've already said. The major action figure podcast thing that Zack Ryder hosts then confirmed this news on Twitter, and do you know how Cody replied? With that gif of him cupping his ear, which usually means, ha ha, here comes an announcement. Following on from that, in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer wrote, and I quote, "I've asked and gotten no response to that question, and if there was nothing going on, the odds are I'd be told there was nothing going on." And doesn't that just sound like there's some smoke? And usually when there's smoke, there's fire, and my fiery ass is all lit up. And obviously this means nothing right now, because all of this was then followed up by someone going, well, I tell you what is going to happen. Sting is going to present the TNT Championship to the winner at AEW's Double or Nothing event. And then that got thrown into the toilet, because it's not going to be Sting, it's going to be Mike Tyson in the most out-of-nowhere announcement we've had in years. But then it exploded again, because Lance Archer was back on social media saying that he would love to have shared the ring with Sting, and Sting replied to that saying, bro, it's nothing but love. I'm just so happy you're getting an opportunity in AEW. I don't know how I'm still breathing, because there is just so much smoke. But let's say that was the plan, and then you switch things up and you put Mike Tyson in place for Sting. I actually think that makes all the sense in the world, because if the Stinger is about to come, stupid thing, into All Elite Wrestling, you want to make sure you got butts in seats. You want to make sure the fans are in attendance, because the money is in the pop, and the money is him coming across like the star he is. And as soon as you do that, maybe you get a couple of people that are lapsed wrestling fans coming back because they're like, oh my gosh, Sting is going to be on my television set. And then you're like, my word, look at the reception he's getting. And while it would be great if all the AEW roster was sat around the ring like they're doing now going, yeah, woohoo, Sting, we love it, do a Scorpion Deathlock. That's not the same. Don't pretend it is, it's not the same. So if that means sitting on it for a while, you absolutely should sit on it, because Sting does mean a lot to these people I just talked about, and AEW has to know that, which is probably why they want to tap in. Because there is a certain audience out there that has completely forgotten about sports entertainment, and this takes us back to 2001. When WCW was bought by WWE, it's not like 100% of people watch World Championship Wrestling. They went, oh, well, I just watched the World Wrestling Federation instead. They went, no, I don't like Vince McMahon's brand of wrestling, so I'm just gonna stop. That's what they did. They gave it up like smoking. But given how familiar sometimes All Elite Wrestling can feel, and then if you're bringing in a guy like Sting, who basically was WCW for a while, well, you start to see how all these roads connect now, don't you? And yeah, I know, we've already got Tully Blanchard, and we've already got Arn Anderson, and we've already got Jake Roberts, but are you telling me if you throw Sting into that mix of names, you go, well, that's a kind of crap idea? Of course it not. All these guys are like pillars of this industry. And you can't just do the same thing over and over again, but I don't think Sting should be on every single week. It's not like he's Poochie from The Simpsons, where it's going to be 24 hours, 365 days a year. But that won't happen. There's no way that will happen. The people running at AEW are not only smart enough to know that would be a stupid thing to do, but they are in tune with the fans. They don't get everything right, but I really do think, ironically, they're cupping their ears and listening. And if you want one final piece of evidence that this is probably a good idea, or at least something you should try to do, I was so excited when I heard it, I made a video, and I'm gonna guess you were so excited when you heard it, you clicked this video trying to piece it all together yourself. Sting's swan song, if you want to call it that, was kind of upsetting and depressing because it did end in injury, and while I have no idea if he can actually have another match, I still just want to see him in a big arena with people going crazy that one last time. And I also understand this means no, you're never going to get your Undertaker versus Sting in a Boneyard match, but I don't think the WWE wants to do that anyway. all of us thinks that's like a dream contest that we never saw. But anytime you talk to anybody behind the scenes in WWE, they're like, no, we don't really care about that. We'd rather do Undertaker versus Goldberg. No one ever mentioned Undertaker versus Goldberg, so I think that's the end of that. But be it tangling with Ric Flair, Vader, Lex Luger, or Hulk Hogan, maybe not that last one. Forget I said that last one. Sting is a guy who has made his way through this business and still knows how to drag them in. I mean, how big that number is, I don't know, but I'm happy to say that I would be one of them. And you'd imagine that Sting's friends and family would also like to see this, so there's at least 8 people right there. And really, do you want Sting just to re-sign with WWE so he can maybe make the odd public appearance here and there or have a brand new action figure? I don't think that's as cool as him being part of the Dynamite universe. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, Steve Borden should do whatever the hell that he wants. He doesn't need to listen to a bald asshole on the internet. But he is almost 61 years of age, actually almost 62 years of age, and he's getting to that point where I'm sure he just wants to sit down, put his feet up, and tell his grandkids about the good old days. But just before we get there, if he could be, like I say, a recurring persona, a recurring character every Wednesday night on my AEW box, I am not gonna be mad. I also just want to see him interact with the stars of tomorrow because I have a problem, and I love that stuff. And again, he is one of the last stars that out there that still has this allure. I mean, Goldberg, for example. I love Goldberg like he's my dad. When he came back in 2016 to fight Brock Lesnar, I lost even more of my hair. 1, because I wanted to look more like Bill Goldberg, but 2, I just couldn't even believe that it was happening. But by the time we were in Saudi Arabia, and yes, we're mentioning it again, and having that match against Taker, I mean, aside from it not being the best thing you'd ever seen, in fact, it was the complete opposite, you were like, well, it's cool, Goldberg has come back, but Goldberg's come back a few times now, so the curve goes like this. Still a great curve, still a curve that makes me feel good inside, but it's still decreasing. So yeah, that's when you've got to remember that because Sting just vanished into the abyss over the last few years, I think the last time we saw him prominently was at his Hall of Fame induction, well, he still has that magic to make a big return. The only person that would be bigger would of course be Repo Man. But as I stand here on YouTube campaigning for it every single day, no one seems to be taking me up on the offer, so I will become 2020 Repo Man and will live vicariously through it that way. For the record too, before somebody in the comments say it, no, I'm not saying Sting should be an authority figure in AEW, and nor am I saying that he should be some kind of mentor. We've already got enough of those. But just let it be the potential that I may see him. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not, but when he is coming in, we make a massive deal about it so I can get that oogly boogly feeling in my stomach where I just get so excited. Like, they're all going to be gone one day, and I'd like to take advantage of it while we still can. I didn't mean that as morbid as it sounds. I'm just saying he's out there, he ain't doing nothing, he hasn't got a deal, you've got some money, you've got an audience, what the hell am I doing? I'm going to keep doing anyway. Just try it. Have a chat with him. Ring him up and say, Sting, do you want to come in? That's Vince McMahon. I can't do Tony Khan, just sounds normal. Sting, do you want to come into All Elite Wrestling? Oh, you do? Great. I'll send a car. Because that's just a pleasant thing to do. Moving on. Imagine he was able to have one last match as well. I don't know how confident I am with that given everything that happened in 2015 when he found himself in the ring with Seth Rollins. But let's say, for the sake of argument, he can. Oh my gosh, Sting versus Kenny Omega, Sting versus Cody Rhodes, Sting versus Matt Hardy, Sting versus Chris Jericho, I don't know, Sting versus Kazarian, Sting versus all of SCU. I would buy into all of that. Sting versus Darby Allin. These are ideas that make me feel pretty good inside. Hell, if you want to go all weird and do Sting versus Orange Cassidy, I will sign the check myself. It'll be a very low check, but there are occasions where I'm happy to buy in on name value alone and then tune in and go, well, let's see what nutsness we're about to pull out of this. And I mentioned name value, and that is what this is all about because Sting, dramatic pause, remains a big flipping deal. He's a legend, he's a Hall of Famer. I have said everything I feel like I need to say. Sting, go to AEW. Unless you don't want to, then just sit at home and be proud. You were great. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all of this. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to What Culture Wrestling. Then head over to whatculture.com, read yourself some articles, follow What Culture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE, and watch more videos here. Where? On What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture. Thank you very much for watching. And if you're asking yourself, is that a guy that is in his early 30s who dressed up as a detective for 90% of this video? I will tell you, because I didn't dress up at all. Try not to have any nightmares this evening. Sleep well.